A number of very high-profile, both celebrities and people involved in politics have tragically passed during this pandemic. Today we have another, with Herman Cain, the former Republican presidential candidate and business executive who was hospitalized this month with the coronavirus, being announced to have died. He was 74. He was the former chief executive of Godfather's Pizza and, like I said, a presidential candidate. He tested positive for the virus on June 29th and went to the hospital 2 days later, which means that he was in the hospital for basically a month. Much of it on a ventilator, and incredibly, it's a very difficult situation. And like we always say, my heart goes out to everyone that knows him, his family. I have a family member who is on a ventilator right now. I don't know how specific I want to be, but any day now could be the last day. So my heart goes out to anyone who has experienced that or is currently experiencing that.
Yeah, it's no, it's weird because I literally just thought about Herman Cain again 2 days ago, and Jesus, who's been with the TYT since forever, he randomly sent me a message, and he goes, "You see these tweets from Herman Cain's people about his condition?" And this is like, again, that day that I was thinking about it. And it's odd because as serious as it is, and as serious as we all know it is, we haven't seen a figure from this side of the aisle that is that connected and that directly supportive of everything that this administration is doing and their lack of response to coronavirus actually pass away from. We've seen multiple people get it. And then that's become their claim to an additional part of their claim that this is no big deal. Yeah. So now, questions are going to be asked and they're not going to get answered because, now there's a guy that's dead. And it's weird because, like I said, it came up to my head and I was oddly it's like I saw it coming almost, but then I feel really bad for his people that didn't participate in his political life to push such a narrative, because it's very dangerous what he was doing. And it's also worse what his staff was doing in his name while he was hospitalized and obviously deteriorating. His condition was deteriorating for over a month, or for around a month. Yeah. And honestly, the first people I think about are people's family and friends that actually cared about them. And these types of things are what was tweeted. This is on July 29th. Yesterday. So he says, our government and our media, this is under Herman Cain's blue-checked Twitter account, our government and our media have incinerated their credibility. So is it any wonder that people are skeptical? And it links to this article written on hermancain.com, which is obviously written by a writer, and they don't hide that. They're not acting like he wrote this. But there was one aspect of this. I just want to read this small section. And it says, American media outlets, like the government officials they cover, have absolutely incinerated their credibility. They've lied, fudged, and hedged so often that literally no one accepts what they say at face value. There's always a bias, always an angle, and always a double standard. This is an article written under Herman Cain's name, posted to his Twitter account while he is literally dying in the hospital. It's heartless, it's cold, and then when this guy has been basically sacrificed his life for your false narrative, and then died because of that false narrative, you continue to use his name and his face and his supporters to talk to his supporters about how it's still just madness that the media keeps pushing this. And this particular article is about potential vaccines and how this writer is actually in support of a vaccine and using it, but that many Americans are not going to take the vaccine. And the reason many Americans aren't going to take the vaccine is because of the media, not because of the people that continue to use this guy's name to push this false narrative that now vaccines aren't going to be that much of a big deal. Trust, it's coming.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm sorry, man. So even the people, everyone who thinks they're on their side, they're on this conservative Trump administration side of this not vaccine, this virus. If you die, this is proof that they don't give a damn about you. They don't care. You're another number. You've served your purpose. Get in the ground. Who's next?
Yeah.
That's all we've got now. That's all they've got. They don't care. They never cared. So when someone says, hey, the people you're trying to keep in office actually don't care if you live, they're going to go, no, it's totally American. It's patriotic. He waved a flag. He said, yeah, America. That's what's convinced you.
Yeah.
When you're dead, you can't fight anymore. You can no more arguing. Herman Cain is no longer going to tell us what he really thinks. And we got prayers now. Hey, we saw Kayleigh McEnany talking about prayers and support for his family. Where were the prayers and support for his family before he died?
Before he got sick?
There, and not there. Instead, it was tweets while he's dying, while he's dying. Here's another one. There's a post about the Miami Marlins and 16 people on the team testing positive because of some event that happened. Herman Cain tweets on July 27th, "Thank God baseball didn't panic like the media wanted." Is Herman Cain panicking right now? No, he's dead, bro. So panic like the media wanted to. And there's 16 more people on this baseball team that have a chance to deteriorate, die, or just be sick for long enough that their whole life changes. Or maybe they spread it on to someone else who gets sick or dies. This isn't a joke. But they don't care, man. Money's being made. Political positions are being held. Power's being exchanged. That's all they want. When someone on their team, because there's this American teams of politics, dies, oh, who cares? Move on. Especially Herman Cain. He was 74. He was one of the vulnerable ones. Maybe he should have worn a mask. You guys are going to start blaming him, and then you're also going to start talking trash about the people who are bringing this up and say that they're heartless. The people talking about this are the heartless ones, not the people who exploited him and used his name to continue pushing this false narrative that kills Americans every day.
And if it's acknowledged, like, if Trump tweets about him, what's the chance that he doesn't undercut it in some way? You know, stressing that he was older or that he had a, underlying condition. He apparently had dealt with cancer. Like, will he just express regret that this person who supported him so much and backed up his narrative, as you so rightfully pointed out, died? Will he just acknowledge that, or will he try to twist even his death to fit the narrative? Will Fox News, if they acknowledge it, will they twist that? And so, look, obviously, like we said, both of us feel terrible for his family, and he didn't need to die. He was 74. He could have lived 5 more years, or 10, or maybe 20 more years, and he didn't. He didn't have to. Some people were always going to die from coronavirus. We've been saying that since literally before it hit the United States. But it does not need to be anything like it is. And so now, a lot of people are questioning, is this a result of Donald Trump? Not in a general sense, for completely fumbling the response to COVID, but in particular for having the Tulsa rally that Herman Cain visited about 9 days before he was tested positive, and about 11 days, I believe, before he went to the hospital. Well, now Herman Cain, while he was at that event, tweeted that he was wearing a mask. I think he might have put up one video of him wearing a mask, but we do know that he wasn't wearing one the entire time. He posted photos of him in groups of people who were similarly not wearing masks. And remember, this is after we found out that 6 staffers at the event had tested positive already. And we know from watching footage of the event that the vast, vast majority of the people there were not wearing masks, and they'd traveled from far and wide to come and congregate inside in a big group. And so the idea that he was potentially exposed at that point, it appears to make sense in terms of the timeline, when he got sick and when the symptoms got bad enough that he was sent to the hospital. We can't know for sure, but I don't think it's irrational to wonder if that event, which we warned about for weeks before it even happened, that someone could end up dying, that we'll never know for sure. It's impossible to know for sure, but that Herman Cain might have been one of those individuals.
Yo, it doesn't even matter. If he got it from the rally that he was boasting and surrounding himself with people. By the way, all the people sitting around him at that rally, get yourself checked out. You probably already do, because, the people in these types of positions have access to tests that most Americans may not. So just consider what you've been up to. And by the way, if it wasn't at the Tulsa rally, it was somewhere else. Mm-hmm. Who cares where he got it from? He was being irresponsible and telling everybody to be just as irresponsible as he was being. I don't care where he got it. So because if there's a 5-day incubation period and this was 9 days after, suddenly that changes everything. I thought you guys didn't believe any of the science. So what about the 5-day incubation period that you said, so if they start to push, it was 9 days later, so therefore it's not that much of a big deal. He couldn't have gotten it there. I thought you didn't believe in the science. And if it's 9 days instead of 5, okay, follow wherever else he went and got it. Are you going to start denying that he had it? That's next. I'm sure they're going to deny that he even had it, or that he didn't die of it, that he only had it, and then something else happened at the hospital that caused him to die. It had nothing to do with COVID. That's next up on the slate. Yeah. Has Donald Trump said anything about Herman Cain yet today?
I haven't seen it. I will continue to check as we're doing this, but I hadn't seen it. But honestly, it's one of those things where it's like, do you want him to? Do you really want him to? God knows what he's going to say and what they're going to say. I know, John Roberts talked about it on Fox News earlier today, and he said that Herman Cain tested negative the day of the event. So that's acknowledging you know, some facts about it. They are talking about it, but that's like the news side. What is Tucker Carlson going to say about this? And the thing is, like, as we're going to show you, Herman Cain was a Fox News person. He was on Fox News. He was on Fox Business. They loved him. He was a presidential candidate. He did pretty well at one point. He could have been their nominee. This is a high-profile Republican, not like, you know, elected office for a long time or anything like that, but outside of that, a very high-profile Republican. And he could have never imagined that this would be his end. For more political news breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/thedamagereport. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.